Now part of the Darkcast Network. Welcome to Indie Podcasts with a dark side. In today's episode, we're talking about a case of a young girl whose life was marred by a series of horrible events. From birth defects to addict parents to child abuse and neglect. And finally, her mysterious disappearance. It's the unsettling case of Harmony Montgomery. Right now on Love and Murder. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Love and Murder, your weekly true crime podcast telling you cases of heartbreak that turn to homicide. I am your host, Kai, and in today's episode, we're talking about the case of Harmony Montgomery, who was last seen in 2019, but her disappearance wasn't reported until 2 years later. How could a child go missing for so long without anyone noticing? Join me as we unravel the details of Harmony's case, the systematic failures of CPS in this case, and the continuous search for answers. Before we begin, I want to say that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/Love and Murder. Be sure to subscribe to Love and Murder right now while you're listening so you don't miss a case. Just go ahead and hit that subscription button right now. If you didn't know, you can also subscribe on our Patreon so that you don't have to hear intros such as this or commercials. You'll get even more Kai rants, you'll get bonus episodes, and you'll be a sponsor of Love and Murder. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Also, I want to apologize if the sound quality is horrible because I am recording in my car today. Yes, I am. And I'll let you know why at the end of this episode. So, in the meantime, though, grab your butts, grab your BJ's apple juice, murderandlove.com/BJ's, and let's get into some Love and Murder. Harmony Renee Montgomery was born in Manchester, New Hampshire on June 7th, 2014, to Crystal Sorey and Adam Montgomery. At the time of her birth, they were not in a relationship, which, that's common, but I gotta say this for the story. So Harmony was born in June, and by September of that same year, her father, Adam, had pled guilty to charges of larceny, carrying a firearm without a license, and discharging a firearm within 500 feet of a building in an armed robbery where he allegedly shot a man in the head. So he got a sentence of 18 months in prison, and life moved on without him. When Harmony was born, she was diagnosed with a visual disability, and she ended up being blind in one eye. However, instead of being in a safe, loving home, her parents both were drug addicts. And as you can see with her father, he had other issues as well. So from the time that she was born, she continuously went between her mother, Crystal, and various foster families. At 2 months old, she was placed in foster care with Tim and Michelle Rafferty. In 2016, her half-brother Jameson was born. And Harmony ended up taking on the role of big sister and took care of her brother while they were in foster care. According to her foster mother, Michelle, Harmony was intelligent, she was a happy child, she loved socializing, and she loved her little brother. In December of 2018, Crystal lost custody of Harmony and Jameson, who was later adopted by Blair Miller and Jonathan Bobbitt Miller. But only Jameson was adopted. Harmony was not adopted. Instead, Harmony was bounced around from foster care to foster care. And later, the Massachusetts Office of the Child Advocate actually highlighted the lack of focus on Harmony's needs during her time in foster care. Now, by this time, Adam, who's 33, was out of prison, and he ended up being awarded custody of Harmony on February 22nd, 2019 by Judge Mark Newman. Now, he awarded custody even though Adam had not been around Harmony. Adam had no idea about how to take care of her and her special needs. DCF had not done an assessment of his capacity to parent, just nothing. So he got Harmony, and his new wife, Kayla Montgomery, who was 32 at the time, became Harmony's step-parent. After he got custody, him, Harmony, their 2 children, and Kayla moved out of state. Now, in the meantime, like I said, the Millers have Jamerson, which is Harmony's little brother, And they're quoted as saying, quote, "From night one in the bedroom, he asked where Harmony was going to sleep." So her little brother's thinking about her. Foster parents are thinking about her. But for some reason, her father got custody of her. In this time that Harmony was with her father, she was subjected to beatings and abuse. And in late 2019, the Montgomerys ended up being evicted from their home and began to live in a homeless shelter. When Adam's uncle, Kevin Montgomery, noticed one day that Harmony had a black eye, he said that Adam told him that he, quote, bashed her around. Kevin then contacted CPS to report the abuse, but nothing happened. In the meantime, Adam continued beating Harmony because she had trouble potty training. On August 16th, the Millers went to Crystal, met her for the first time, and asked her if they could adopt Harmony because Jamerson misses her and, you don't have Harmony with you. I don't know where Harmony is, but if ever the need arises, we would love to adopt Harmony. So they gave Crystal their number and actually stayed in contact with her. Throughout this time, they were trying to do FaceTime so Jamerson could speak to his sister. But each time they tried, Crystal would tell them that Adam wouldn't answer her phone calls. On November 2019, this is when the actual adoption completed with Jamerson and the Millers. And they asked Crystal if they could send Harmony a present from her little brother. But she said, "I have not been able to reach Adam, so I have not even talked to Harmony." In this same month, Crystal started to get worried because Adam didn't bring Harmony around for Thanksgiving. So she messaged him on Facebook asking him about Harmony, but he turned around and just blocked her. So then she went and filed a missing persons report because she hadn't seen her daughter in I don't know how long. So she filed a missing persons report. And when police went over to question Adam, he said that Harmony was living with her mother. And everybody just said, okay, and went along with their business. By June of 2020, now Harmony is 6 years old, Crystal is telling the Millers that she hasn't been able to talk to Harmony in all this time. She can't reach Adam. He's not answering her in all this time. Now, during this time, the Millers are still making it clear that they're willing to adopt Harmony if she goes back into the system. If Harmony needs a place to stay, they're willing to take Harmony so she can be with Jamerson. By March 21st, 2021, Kayla took her three children, and moved into her mom's apartment. Harmony is nowhere to be seen, but she left with her three children. And she said the reason she did this was, quote, due to domestic violence on her from her husband, Adam Montgomery. That was a quote that was attached to the restraining order that she sought against Adam. Now, all this time, Crystal is still looking for her child, still trying to get in contact with Adam. And finally, by July 29th, 2021, she was able to find Adam again on social media, but he immediately blocked her. In September, Crystal finally was able to contact one of Adam's aunts. And she's asking about Harmony. Have you seen Harmony? How's my daughter doing? I just want to see her face. I haven't talked to her in like 2 years. But the aunt said, actually, in thinking about it, I haven't seen Harmony since 2019 either. And she also said, come to think about it, I've seen Adam posting a lot of Harmony stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I just figured it was because she got too old for it, but that's all I know. I haven't seen Harmony. He's posting her stuff for sale. So I don't know what to tell you. So now the Millers tried to contact Adam since he's blocking Crystal on everything. So the Millers tried to contact Adam over Facebook, but he blocked them as well. Then on September 16, 2021, Blair Miller, who's a Washington news anchor for Boston 25, reached out to New Hampshire's Division of Children, Youth, and Family. And finally, they now could talk to Crystal. All this time, they weren't helping. They weren't contacting her. They weren't returning her calls. She can't reach Adam. She can't find Harmony. Since 2019, this is 2021. So finally, when a news anchor reached out to the Division for Children, Youth, and Families, suddenly, oh yeah, we have a phone. I forgot. So now an investigation starts. We're just going to call the division for children, youth, families. Now we're just going to call them the division to just make it easier. So the division finds out that Adam and Kayla have been split up, and Adam had checked into a sober house. They found out that Kayla is with her 3 kids, and they're like, where's Harmony? After Adam came out of the sober house, he moved to Maine with some other woman, but again, where's Harmony? So they started digging a little bit deeper. They found out that the school districts show that they have no records that Harmony has ever been enrolled in any of their schools. So on November 18th, 2021, Crystal reported Harmony missing to the Manchester Police Department. The Millers also told the Manchester Police Department that we are willing to take Harmony into emergency foster care if anything arises. On December 27th, the division then notified the police that they're completely 250,000% unable to find Harmony. And finally, as a result of this, police officially opened an investigation into the disappearance of Harmony, stating that she has, quote, not been physically seen since October or November of 2019. Now, my question is, the mother has been trying to find her child for this long. She did, in November, report her missing. Why did it take till the end of December for the division to tell the police before the police started doing anything? Wow. So police said that Harmony likely disappeared sometime between November 28th and December 10th, 2019. But they said, this is what they said, that they only just learned about her case in December 2021, even though the mother filed her missing in November. I mean, it's still a long time, but the mother filed her missing in November. But I don't know why they're saying like a whole month. It's been like a month and 2 weeks later, a month and a half later, they're saying they just now found out about this. So they officially said she was missing on December 27th. And on December 30th, Kevin, remember Adam's uncle, came and told police that he had concerns about Harmony's welfare. He told them about the time in July of 2019 where he had seen that Adam had punched her in the face and left her with a black eye. He said that Adam told him, quote, I bashed her around the house as punishment after her little brother started crying. And he said since that happened, he hadn't seen Harmony or the other kids, since then. Now, it's interesting to note that at least 2 other family members on the Montgomery side knew about Harmony's black eye. Including Kevin. Kayla knew about it, obviously, because she lived in the house. And then Adam's brother, Michael, knew about it. Nobody called anybody. You have a 6-year-old with a black eye from a grown man, and everybody went about their business. Crystal, that same month, also sent an email over to the Manchester mayor, Joyce Craig, saying that she planned to go to the media with how this was being treated. Here's the email that was sent. Quote, the subject is, my daughter is missing, in danger, and DCYF won't help. Quote, hello, Mayor. I am a single mother of 3. I currently only have 2 of my kids. My oldest daughter, Harmony, she's 7 years old. Her father, Adam Montgomery, has physical custody of her, and he is currently homeless and under the influence. DCYF has had an open case for my daughter and didn't remove her when they witnessed her bruises, and the house at the time had no running water. Now it's a year later, and DCYF has done nothing to help me find her. She's supposed to be in 1st grade. He never enrolled her into school this whole time. She misses important doctor's appointments she's had since she was a baby due to her disability in her eye. Please, I'm begging for help in finding my daughter before she ends up like the little boy that just passed away due to neglect through the department. My next step is going to the media to get whatever help I need to find her and bring her home safe. My phone number is redacted. Please help. Thanks for your time and happy holidays, is what she said. That was her email. So then on December 30th, police went to talk to Kayla, and she says that she last saw Harmony near the end of 2019 when Adam said that he was dropping her off with Crystal. Police looked around the house and did notice that Adam and Kayla's other 3 children were, quote, all presently accounted for. Kayla said she also did notice that black eye that they were talking about, but she said Adam blamed it on one of the other children, so she was like, oh, okay. That same day that they spoke to Kayla, they also finally found Adam. They found him and his new girlfriend in a car, sleeping under a bridge on Harville Street in Manchester. So, of course, police took him in and questioned him. And he gave them different stories, just contradictory stories. First, he said that he had just spoken to Harmony, and then he backtracked and said that the last time he spoke to Harmony was when he dropped her off with Crystal around November of 2019. So he's saying he did drop her off at Crystal's around that Thanksgiving, when that was the Thanksgiving that Crystal was like, where's my daughter? And she reported to the division that she had never seen her daughter. He didn't drop her off for Thanksgiving, and she hasn't talked to her in even before Thanksgiving. So when police were like, so you're saying that Crystal has her? That's when Adam was like, you know what? Quote, I have nothing else to say. If I'm not under arrest, I'm leaving. And he left. On January 3rd, so now we're in 2022, police opened up a tip line and started it out at $10,000 reward for anyone who had information about where Harmony could possibly be. And I just want to note that during the investigation, the money went from $10,000 to $12,500 to $33,000. And with all of this reward money, police received more than 300 tips about the case. Quote, I would hope that it wouldn't take money for somebody to do the right thing, but people have different motivations in their life. So if money is one of them, then come forward with some relevant and viable information and let us know. This was said by the Manchester Police Chief, Alan Allenberg, and that was the police chief at the time. So then on January 4th, Adam ended up being arrested, and the charges were failing to have Harmony in his custody and some other charges that we'll go through later. Kyla, who was supposed to appear in the Superior Court on that Thursday at 10 a.m. for a dispositional conference, missed that meeting. The meeting was so they can discuss some charges that were being brought up against her, including the fact that she had lied to the Department of Health and Human Services, saying that Harmony was with her, and she ended up getting welfare on Harmony's behalf when Harmony wasn't in the house. So they wanted to bring up charges of welfare fraud against her, saying that she got $1,500 in food stamps for Harmony between December 19th to June 2021. And remember, police said she went missing between like November 2019 and June 2019. So being that she missed her court appearance, the state requested an arrest warrant for her, and the judge went ahead and gave it. So when they brought Kyla in, this time you're not here for a meeting, you're here to get arrested. This time, Kyla was like, oh, arrested, you say? Let me give you a bit of information and maybe we can work out a deal. So Kyla sang like a bird. Kyla said that Adam had killed Harmony on December 7th, 2019, while the entire family lived in their car. She said that they were all driving to a fast food restaurant at the time when he turned around and started punching Harmony in the face. She said he just kept wailing on her, punching her in the face and in the head, because he was angry that she kept having accidents, bathroom accidents in the car. On that day, he had said, quote, I think I really hurt her this time. I think I did something. Then Kayla said that hours later, both of them noticed that Harmony was dead when the car had broken down. Then that's when Adam put Harmony's body in a duffel bag. And then for the next 3 months, she said they moved the body from container to container, from place to place. And this is what they did with Harmony. So they moved from, like I said, container to container. They moved it to the trunk of a friend's car, but the friend didn't know what was in the bag. They just knew he had a bag. Let me move this in your trunk. They moved it to a cooler that was in the hallway of his mother-in-law's apartment building. Again, she didn't know it was even there. They moved it to the ceiling vent of a homeless shelter, And then they also moved it to a freezer in one of their apartments. So then on October 11th, 2022, the New Hampshire Attorney General announced that Harmony was murdered in 2019. And they said this was based, quote, on recently confirmed biological evidence. Notice, though, they haven't found the body yet. They're just going on Kyla's confession. They probably went to either one of the freezers or one of the vents and they found some biological evidence, but they haven't actually found the body. So then Adam ended up having more charges thrown on him. On October 24th, 2022, this is when Adam was officially charged with Harmony's murder. And the other charges that I was saying was second-degree murder, falsifying physical evidence, and abuse of a corpse. But he pled not guilty to all of these charges. So what happened with Kyla is after she had told the police everything, well, before she had told them everything, they had kicked out a plea deal, like I said. And she had agreed to get on the stand on the prosecution side against Adam. What she got for that was she did plead guilty to perjury charges. And on November 18th, 2022, she was sentenced to around 1.5 years in prison, when it could have been so much more than that. Plus, she would have been fined and everything like that. So instead of getting all those years in prison plus a huge fine, she only got 1.5 years in prison. Police were telling her, think about your children, everything like that. So that's when she said, look, I'll tell you everything. Just let's work out a deal. So that's the deal she got. So now Kyla's in prison and her 3 kids are with her parents. And then on August 7th, 2023, Adam was sentenced to up to 60 years in prison. Now, the reason he was sentenced for this wasn't even dealing with Harmony's disappearance. He ended up being sentenced to prison for a previous gun-related charge. What I think really happened was police were like, we have something against you. We really don't have evidence against, you murdering Harmony. We know you did it. Well, we think you did it based on physical evidence, based on testimonies, based on witnesses. We think you did it, but we definitely have you for these gun-related charges. So I'm going to give you the maximum time in prison that I could give you for these particular charges, which was 60 years in prison. So after he's already in jail, that's when on February 8th, 2024, his murder trial began. The prosecution heavily relied on Kyla as the prosecution witness. This is what she agreed upon when she got her plea deal. They brought forth to court a 48-page affidavit, and this was primarily what Kayla had confessed to. Within it, it said that Adam had beat his daughter and concealed her body and everything like that. So everything that she told the police officers in her interrogation. So in the prosecution's opening statements, they let the jurors know that Adam had allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly at that time, beat his daughter when she was 5 years old, like Kayla said, punching her in the face, punching her in the head, because she'd had an accident in the car. After he did that, he continued driving to Burger King. He ordered the food, the family ate, and nobody even looked back to check on Harmony. That includes Kayla. Quote, he pulled into that parking lot at Burger King and he ordered his food. He ordered his food and he ate. He didn't stop to check on Harmony. He didn't look back at her. He didn't show any concern for this innocent little girl, the child he had just beaten. He ordered his food and he ate and he didn't stop. So that was part of the opening statement. However, the defense came back with their opening statement, which claims that Adam didn't kill Harmony, and they're saying that Kayla is lying about what happened. This is part of the defense's opening statement. Quote, Kayla Montgomery was the last person to see Harmony alive and know how Harmony died. Adam is not an innocent here. He and Kayla covered up Montgomery's death. Adam Montgomery did not kill Harmony. So then my thing is, if you're saying Adam didn't kill Harmony, but they covered up her death, who do you think killed Harmony? Somebody flew into the car, beat her up, killed her, and then you're just saying Adam and Kayla covered up the death? What is your defense? If you're saying Adam didn't kill Harmony, shouldn't you come back with a theory of who did kill Harmony? Anyway, during the trial, the prosecution was expected to call 50 to 55 witnesses, including some of Adam's families, while the defense only had 2 witnesses lined up. The plan was also to take the jurors on a bus tour to the locations where Harmony's body had been kept. So here, 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 here. One of the stops on this tour that I didn't even tell y'all about was a hospital maternity ward where Adam had worked. I guess he was maybe doing janitorial work or something. I'm not sure what he was doing in the maternity ward, but he was working there at the time. And Kayla said that she took this tote bag that has this dead body in it and put it between her own young children in a stroller and strolled it into the hospital maternity ward, where they dropped it off and left it there for a little while. So the prosecution said that Adam had disposed of the body in March of 2020. So he was walking around with this thing from November to March. And the reason why they said that is because in March, he rented a moving truck. They brought forth a witness, Travis Beach, who was the one who Adam rented the U-Haul from. And he thought that Adam was in the process of moving because he had a bunch of packed boxes. So the prosecution said, yeah, he had some packed boxes, but in there was also Harmony's remains. So they questioned Travis about this meeting, and he said Harmony wasn't with them at this time. He didn't even know they had a Harmony. At this time, it was Adam, Kayla, and 2 little boys, which was Adam and Kayla's 2 sons at the time. And this was in March of 2020. Travis also said that, we rented the U-Haul out to him. And when he brought it back, him and Adam did a line of cocaine. And then Adam said something weird. He said he had messed up, but then he didn't want to go into how he messed up. So Travis was like, oh yeah, we all messed up. So how'd you mess up? Maybe I can give you some pointers. Maybe I can help you out. But he refused to say how he messed up. So the prosecution then said, quote, he believed that if there was no body to find, there would be no evidence of what he had done, and he would get away with this heinous crime. Then the prosecution went on to say that Kayla was living in fear of Adam based on what she can see that Adam clearly is capable of. They also talked about instances of domestic violence that Kayla told them about. And they brought forth one of the property managers, someone named Tara Hilbert, as a witness, where she told the court about several injuries that she saw on Kyla, and she figured it was Adam who had done it. Not that she actually saw Adam beating Kyla, but she figured that Adam had done it. They brought forth more witnesses who agreed and said, yeah, Kyla usually had bruises all over her face, and Adam was a very violent person. So we put 2 and 5 together, and we figured that Adam was beating Kyla. Nobody ever actually saw him beating Kyla, so I'm just going to say that. Just have to, play advocate here and say that. No one actually ever saw him beating Kyla, but they did see the bruises that she always had. So on one day of the trial, Kyla had testified for more than 6 hours. And then another day she testified for a couple more hours. So in her testification, she's just talking about Adam's rage, how he was paranoid, how he beat his daughter, how he beat her. And she also told the court that after Harmony was murdered, that's when Adam's complete and total rage turned on her. The prosecution had shown pictures of Kyla with 2 black eyes. And in this particular instance, Adam had beat her up, and he had taken his paranoia to an all-time high because he started breaking everything in the house, telling her that he thought that she was working for the cops and there had to have been hidden equipment around the house. So he broke everything in the house looking for these surveillance videos. The prosecution also brought forth some law enforcement officials who had done the interview, who had helped in looking for Kyla's body. They also brought forth forensic experts, who are the ones who said, hey, we found parts of Kyla's DNA in XYZ location. One of those locations was the ceiling of one of the family shelters where Adam, Kyla, and the 2 boys had lived. And you can clearly see, based on the forensic evidence, that this ceiling area was used to store Harmony's body. They also brought forth a worker from that shelter, and this worker said there was a, quote, weird smell coming from the vent in Unit 1. That's how the investigators were able to go to that vent. That's how they found forensic evidence in that vent. The forensic evidence they found were stains that did test positive for blood and DNA evidence that did match Harmony. The prosecution also brought forth Kevin Montgomery, remember the uncle, where he told them that, I saw him hit his daughter. He said she was getting on his nerves, whatever. And then he reported that to CPS. One of his friends, Nicholas Ahern, came forward and said, quote, he told me that she got that black eye during the soccer accident. Another friend had come forward and said, quote, he bought the kids like foam swords or lightsabers and said that they were playing with them and that Harmony was struck in the face. If it's one of those foam swords, you're not going to get a black eye from that. You know how many times I was hit in the face with that? I have brothers. I was hit in the face with that. You don't even get a bruise. You don't even say, ow. It doesn't even hurt. Unless they came with the foam and right behind the foam was their fist. That's all I could see. The defense, for their part, came forward and said, everything that Kayla's saying is a lie. They said that initially Kayla said that she had nothing to do with any of this. And they brought forth paperwork that showed that Kayla then changed her story and said that, yeah, I helped Adam by cutting off Harmony's sweatshirt and helping to close a bag that had her remains in it. So it's like, okay, she changed her story. One second she had nothing to do with it and she didn't know. And the next second, oh yeah, I helped. Like, which one is it? So then they told the court that Kayla lies repeatedly, and the only reason she did this was to get the plea deal. The defense told the jurors to listen to what's being said and weigh the case, quote, not on sympathy, but on the evidence and the evidence alone. Kayla was all about protecting herself to wiggle out of accountability for her own crimes. Kayla was also trying to get less time so that she wouldn't be away from her children. Right now, she had the loss of rights to her children, but if she had less time in prison, she has easy access to get back to her children. And finally, they put forth an alternate version of what they're suggesting happened with Harmony. They said that they think Kyla had a hand in Harmony's death, and what it was Adam just helped her, sweep this under the rug. My thing is, where's your evidence that it was Kayla? Like, I don't understand why you just randomly say Kayla did it with no evidence pointing to her doing it. And then that's basically what the prosecution said. The prosecution said, look, everything points to Adam. So what are you talking about? To which the defense replied with, so on February 22nd, after deliberating for about a day, the jury came back and said, Adam, you are guilty of all charges. Being that he's guilty of all these charges, including his 60-year sentence, he could now face up to 35 years to life in prison on just the second-degree murder charge itself. The judge said sentencing will be on May 9th. In the meantime, on March 7th, Kayla got granted parole. But the board said that before she was released, she has to complete all programs that she was currently enrolled in, and she has to get together and present a home plan. They also gave her 90 days of intense supervision, which means that she had to come back and often check in with her parole officer. And any little thing that happened, her parole officer could shut it down and send her back to prison. To which Kyla agreed with everything, and she said, quote, it's better to tell the truth and be honest so that everything else can come to the light. So she learned her lesson, and I'm ready to be out. So now, although a judge had officially marked Harmony as murdered, and they had marked her as missing, they had to do this officially, there was actually no official paperwork saying that she was legally dead. So they didn't declare her dead. So nobody could do anything. They just had her murdered, which I don't know how that doesn't declare dead. I don't know. Maybe she couldn't get a death certificate. But if you were declared murdered, what was that? August of 2022, I think. She was declared murdered. So why couldn't that just roll over to Harmony's dead? I don't understand. Anyways, they had to officially declare her dead. And Harmony's mother kept asking, could you all let me officially declare her dead because I want to open a wrongful death claim against the state of New Hampshire and the state of Massachusetts. So she'd been asking for a while. So finally on March 18th, 2024, a judge agrees to declare Harmony legally dead. And Crystal immediately went forth and filed a wrongful death claim against those two states. But remember, all this time, they still haven't found her body. So finally, it was time to sentence Adam. And Adam ended up getting a minimum of 56 years in prison to be served consecutively with his previous gun-related prison term. So basically, it doesn't look like he's getting out of prison. And in all actuality, the sentencing judge said that they need to keep Adam off of the streets to prevent further harm to others. So I think that's why he did that. I mean, it was only 56 in addition to what he already had. So that's literally life in prison. Now, after all of this wrapped up, like I said, part of the thing that the prosecution talked about was the systemic failures of CPS. In response to this, the New Hampshire governor at the time, Governor Chris Sununu, issued a statement saying that they need to prioritize child welfare in custody matters and strengthen child protective services. Governor Sununu also blamed Massachusetts' court system for its decision to grant sole custody to Adam. They said that the Massachusetts court system should have completed a home study, should have looked more into Adam, should have seen that Adam was nowhere, anywhere in Harmony's life, and there was no reason for him to have gotten sole custody. Other organizations started calling for the safety and well-being of children under the care of the state. They asked for reforms on improving cross-border communication and safety practices. For instance, if New Hampshire had said this in their files and if Massachusetts had that information in their files, there is a strong probability that none of this would have happened. But there is no cross-border communication between the CPSs. Well, there wasn't. This just happened. He just went to prison, so they're still fighting for this. Because I was going to say, I don't know if it's changed, but they're just fighting for this because this trial just finished. It just finished in 2024. Also, there's a push to establish a, quote, Harmony Commission, that's what they're calling it, which would review the child welfare system and make recommendations for better protecting and servicing children in the same cases that Harmony was in. Also, now that Adam is in prison, police have shifted their focus towards finding Harmony's remains because they still don't know where it is. Investigators have analyzed Adam's mileage that he did in the U-Haul, and they narrowed it down to a 26-mile stretch in Massachusetts. So this is where they think Harmony's remains are. Quote, one of the things that we could not state before, but we can more clearly state now after the verdict is that during the trial, people heard the last place Adam Montgomery had driven that U-Haul to. I have some specific on that, and I hope people are paying attention. He drove 133 miles on that U-Haul. Subtracting the 3.2 miles back and forth from the rental, that left him with roughly a 106-mile road trip all the way down at least through the Tobin Bridge tolls, northbound, southbound, and northbound again through these tolls and then back to Manchester. That only left him with 26 miles of driving that he could have done where he was at the Econo Lodge in Manchester and going through the Tobin those 3 times. They're surmising that Adam more than likely drove and dumped a tan CMC bag that holds Harmony's remains in it. Quote, if you see this bag, if you hear about this bag, if you go out for a walk, if you take the dog out for a walk, if you see anything like that that seems to be disturbed, please let us know. Harmony's body was bagged up several times inside that CMC bag. There's a high likelihood that there might still be parts of her body that we can recover. Currently, law enforcement have conducted searches in areas like Rumney Marsh Reservation, the Sales Creek area, the Chelsea Creek area, and around the North Shore roads. And also police still have a tip line open for any information that could lead to the discovery of Harmony's body. And that number is 603-932-8997. 603-932-8997. And that is the case and the mysterious disappearance of Harmony Montgomery. What do y'all think of that case? Her body is still missing. Everything they went off, I don't want to say circumstantial evidence because they did find blood and DNA in a freaking vent. And I don't think they just had a 6-year-old, like a 6-year-old in a vent in a hotel. And they did find DNA in the freezer and stuff like that. So I can't say, would that be considered circumstantial evidence since they didn't actually find the body? You can't really go by what Kayla says. Kayla could be lying just to save herself. You don't know. I want hard facts. And the hard facts are there are people around who know that Adam was abusive, did abuse Kayla, did abuse Harmony. So there's people around that does know that. There are files that point out that he abused Kayla because she filed a restraining order and she left him based on his abuse. There's pictures of her with 2 black eyes, whatever. So he was abusive. We know this. We know that he punched Kayla, that he punched Harmony in the face. We know this because his uncle saw it, Kayla saw it. But the problem is nobody knows if he actually killed her. It's surmised that he killed her, and then there's no body. But I mean, he's in prison, so I mean, there's that. But I'm just saying there is no body. So what do y'all think about this case? And yes, totally, I agree. I agree with the mother. She should sue those people. She should also sue the CPS of that state because they really royally effed up this time. It's their fault. It's partly their fault. And I know that people are going to say, oh, well, they're short staffed and everything like that. Look, it trickles down from the state to CPS. I hear you. You can't do anything about being short staffed. But also, if there was that cross-state communication, you could have actually just called the office and found out, hey, do you know anything about this baby's father? You know, should we put her with the father? Do your work. It might have taken longer, but she was already in the system. It's not like they were in a rush to place her. She was already in the system. And then you had this family who was saying, look, we will adopt her. We're willing to adopt her. So what was the rush in getting her over to her father? That I don't understand. Anyway, that's my rant about the case. I want to hear from you. What do you think about the case of Harmony Montgomery? And then my poll question also is, should there be mandatory and more frequent welfare checks for children known to have a history of family instability or previous reports of abuse? Should there be more frequent welfare checks for them? So let me know your thoughts. And that is all that I have for you today. Oh yeah, I remember I was going to tell y'all while I was recording in the car. So the beginning of last week, teeth pain came back. So I was literally laying there like sitting with my mouth open, drooling in pain for like the whole week. So kind of fell behind this week. I did get all of this week's episodes out, so great. But on the full episode, today's episode, I fell behind for that. And then Thursday, I finally was able to go to a dentist, a good dentist, and ended up getting two people root canals. So I was kind of out of it for a couple days. And then episode had to come out today. My daughter has stuff that she usually does on Sundays. So I had to take her to her event and I'm just sitting in the car recording. And that's why the quality sounds like this. But I wanted your episode to come out on time. So forgive the quality. I hope you found the case interesting though. Yeah, so that's why I'm recording on the phone today. Before you go, don't forget to share this case with your friends and family. Anybody that you know loves true crime, go ahead and hit that share icon. Like I said, share with your friends, share with your family, share with your mom, share with your dad, share with your ex-husband, share with your current husband, share on your social media, share with everybody you know and everybody you don't. Share, 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 share. And as I always remind you at the end of each full episode, say it with me now. It's all love and no murder, y'all. Bye. See you in the next episode and stay tuned for my commercial guests.
Do you find yourself bored at work while eating your lunch?
Do you watch the clock waiting for work to be over? As you're sitting in meetings, do you find your boss's voice sounding like a howling banshee?
Then don't wait another minute. Tune into the Paranormal Peeps podcast.
We are ready to entertain you.